Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Big Tech Sunday update, where every Sunday I update you guys on the big six tech stocks on Tesla, Nvidia, Apple, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft, and as well as be looking a little bit into the sentiment datas and economic datas and a couple other things. I know I've gone through these datas a couple times already this week, but there's a lot of people that's new here, and so I've put the timestamps below on YouTube where you guys can just click the timestamps and skip to any of the stocks that you guys wanted to look at of the six or the data you want to look at. All right, and let's get into it. So right now, let's take a look at the data first. So the reason we look at the data is because I just want to be cautious to know that what side everyone is currently on. And for the past couple of weeks, everyone was bearish on the bearish side of the boat, and hence the market has been going up, and as well as now that everyone shifted to the bull side this week. And this surprised me a lot because this is one of the highest readings we have ever seen in the past maybe year and a half to 2 years. And for it to shift 15% in just 1 week is incredible. And so now we got to be a little bit cautious going into next week, because obviously bullishness can stay bullishness for some time, but once everything tilts to one side, then that's when things starts to get goes. Things can start dropping potentially. Also, the technical wise, weekly consolidation is due, and I will be going through the weekly consolidation in the charts in a little bit. And just take a quick look at the economic data. So we have CPI coming in on Tuesday, and that will coincide what the rate decision is going to be, in my opinion. And I know that the economic rates, all right, we are looking at 70% of a pause and then 30% of a hike. But due to even the Canadian banks have similar um, probabilities as well, and they ended up hiking. So we'll have to see what the Fed actually does, and who knows, they actually might even just hike. But for the past every meeting, they have been going exactly as these probabilities, because they didn't want to shock the market. But now it's a little bit of a coin flip, because even if they shock the market, it's not like the market's gonna tank. Even if it drops a little bit, it's not that big of a deal. At the moment, we're not that low anymore. And so that CPI data, personally, I think is going to determine what the Fed decision is going to be. So let's say we have uptick in the inflation, then there could be a potential that the Fed might just hike the 25 basis point this month instead of in July, and they'll just hold after that in July instead of hold then hike. So we're obviously going to get the PPI in the morning as well, and these are all Eastern Standard Times. And on Thursday, it'll be the manufacturing index and retail sales, as well as jobless claims. So these will all move the market. These are all 3-star volatilities. So make sure to know that they're coming up, and while you're in your trades, and prepare for them. All right, let's get into the chart itself. So first one we're going to look at is Tesla. And we'll go through them one by one. And all right, so Tesla looking great for the bulls. And let's take a look and see where the support and resistance is going to be in the near zone. So we have rejected. I wouldn't say rejected, even though we did have a red candle, because we have been running quite a bit. So taking a breather is normal when we hit resistance zones. You can see this volume profile here. This volume profile here just means that this little cluster here, where it was the most volume traded in that little cluster of zone, you can see this just means this very low volume in this zone, and the red line is the highest volume in that zone. You can see that bar as well. And now we have tested the volume area high of that zone, which is that blue line right there. You can see. So we have so far rejected once, and although I wouldn't say rejection due to QQ, the ETF itself on Friday was only up 0.38%, and Tesla was up 4%, right? So it did drag Tesla down a little bit on once that opened, when the QQ opened and just started dropping. Show you guys in the 15-minute time frame here. You can see once this pop, QQQ was um, fading a little bit into the close. And if you look at Tesla on the 15-minute time frame, you can see it held better than QQQ, even though we had a big gap up. So in the near term, I'm gonna go to the hourly chart for you guys, short-term traders. What are we looking at in the near term here? So we don't have an hourly downtrend yet, so that's good for the bulls. So the very first thing, I would count this as one big move. And you can say this is a slight pivot high here. This sets the lower high compared to this high. So let's say this is one move. This was the bounce. Now the bears need to break down below this low for it to set a hourly downtrend to confirm. If the hourly downtrend confirms, then I am going to be zooming out into the 4-hour time frame, where I will be looking at the 4-hour 12 EMA. This is this teal looking line. So if you don't know how to have a 12 EMA, go to your indicators and type exponential moving averages and open that, and then just type the number 12 so you get into it. So this 12 EMA has been holding for the past 2+ weeks. So you can see ever since here, support, bounce off of here, exactly again, support. This is a glitch in the chart, and bounce off here, support, and this is another support down here. So when that hourly downtrend confirms, and we zoom out to this 4-hour for this 4-hour EMA 12 support, because once that confirms, we are likely going to break this low. So we're getting really close to that 4-hour EMA 12 support. And if it bounces, which I think we are going to be testing, and coincides with this very value area zone here. I'll zoom out to the daily. Let's take I'm going to put a line for this point of control, which is that red line, which is the most volume traded area zone, and then go back to the 4 hours, which that line would be right here within this line right there. So that would very likely be where the 12 EMA is going to be in the next 48 hours when that happens. So that would be a double support zone, because we rejected from the value area high. Now we're going to come back to test that red line. It's the most likely scenario for me. And then from there, we will see if it actually bounces off the support again. If it does, bulls are in absolute full control. And short unless we do break that. So what I want to see from the bears is we come down, and so let's say the 12 EMA is going to be right coming up right here, right? So come down, we break through it, and then bounce, retest the 12 EMA, rejects from it, forms a 4-hour and daily downtrend. Then when we reject from that 12 EMA, that's the time to go short. As of now, there is not much bear action going on right now. We don't even have an hourly downtrend, right? That's the very first step for the bears if you're a bear. I'm just going to give you guys both opinions from unbiased. I'm not in the stock. And for the bulls, absolute bull control as long as this 12 EMA 4-hour bounces off of it. And trend is always our guide. It's in the uptrend in every time frame. On the hourly, 4-hour, and then daily and weekly, and the monthly is all in an uptrend. So if you're a bear, you want to fight this bull train, make sure we at least get the first hourly downtrend and that 4-hour 12 EMA. Obviously, there's opportunities on both sides. As a trader, we trade both sides, and we never want to be biased on any sides. So wherever their money is, we trade it. And so yeah, the hourly, make sure if you're a bear. Otherwise, if we do bounce back from that 12 EMA, I'm looking back up for the bulls to break this level and potentially fill that gap. So you got to be very careful with your stops if you guys are shorting, because if it bounces off of this level, that point of control, red line, and with the 12 EMA 4-hour, we're coming back up to test this level again. And if we do break that level, look how there is no volume traded in this zone. Nothing here, nothing here, nothing here, a little bit here, but that was quite long ago. So those volumes may already have been gone, let's just say. And this is only a little bit of a cluster. So if we do break above this level, I am looking back Tesla filling this gap right here, because there is the less volume trading area, the less resistance is going to be when we're under it. Same thing as support. If we're above it and we come down to it, it's going to be really little support. So that's the perspective from both sides, from the bulls and the bears for you guys on Tesla. And I'm just going to erase these things. I'm going to go, that's all I got for you guys from Tesla. I'm going to go to Nvidia. So Nvidia essentially is a bull break lacking follow through. So we have been looking at this falling wedge on the daily time frame, and you can see on Friday we broke out of it right here. And that wick just means that we are now closed right here, and meaning we close back into the falling wedge even though we broke out of it. So that's a bull break lacking follow through. I wouldn't say that's a win for the bears yet until we can break this pivot zone right here. We have been holding three times already. I couldn't call it triple bottom. This is just a little bit, but still. So if I'm looking to us for break that 375 zone here, and if we do, and we come back down to test this falling wedge low, then we have a daily downtrend confirmed. It should be a win for the bears for sure if we do confirm that daily downtrend. And as of now, we don't have that yet. So we zoom into the, let's see, we can see anything on the 4 hour, 4 hour, same thing, rejection, broke bull break, back to the rejection. This is a 4 hour uptrend. Now we have a big enough drop. Potentially, we can scout a lower high. I do want to see more drop before we see that bounce. So let's say we drop down here and we bounce, and then we drop. This is the part to potentially scout that short, where it's setting a lower high. This high is lower than this high. Let's call it lower high. Sometimes, but all right. So, and that target would be down here, this zone. And then if that breaks, then we get that daily downtrend. Then I'm starting to look into that this gap being filled, this huge gap right here. If we do start to break that, if we do form a daily downtrend, that's the next thing I'm going to be looking at. This gap to be, obviously, it's not going to just fill that whole thing right away. But if we do come into that, this daily downtrend confirming, breaking this falling wedge, bearish. This is the level I'm looking at, where the first day of the earnings, where it sold off to 366, and then start filling gap. When we start filling this gap, the action should be really. I want to see bear volume coming in and have a big flush. Obviously, it's not going to flush to here instantly, but I want to see a big flush and then find the support somewhere in here, and before the next move happens. You bulls. Let's see here for you bulls. I want to see us. So we close pretty much here. So we're going to retest the top of this falling wedge right away on Monday. So I want to see us bulls break back out of this again and potentially close a daily candle outside of this falling wedge for the bulls. If you can't close a candle outside of it, then we reject. So we get another wick here, and we reject it back in here. Then that's a red flag for me for the bulls. As of now, we are still okay. You can still, because although we did break above not above fall through, we did hold the hourly trend. You can see here. Our big move down, bounce. This should have broken this low for the hourly downtrend to confirm, but the bulls held it. So still okay looking for the bulls. So other than that, bull break with lacking follow through. But so if Monday this double bottom breaks, which is Friday's lows, then it's an hourly downtrend confirmed. Then we're back to zooming out into bottom of these ranges. All right, look at Apple. So Apple is the strongest out of the big tech stocks, out of the four: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, and it's holding quite well. And we have to see if once Google, Amazon, and Microsoft rolls over, can Apple actually hold? Because this is still in a Apple is in an uptrend in every single trend, and see here. Although this is a big enough move now, where on this bounce, bears are looking to scout that lower high now. Just take a look at Apple's chart. I have not seen a big enough drop like this ever since this one right here. So that is in February. So now this potentially, if we do come down here, I want to see us break this triple bottom. If we break that, then we are in a daily downtrend confirm. A daily downtrend confirm is very notable for Apple. We have not confirmed a daily downtrend since January. We can say we did confirm it here. This was a small pivot right there. You can see we did break slightly above it and then dropped here. But yeah. Or some people will just say this is this one straight move down because of how small that is. Some say that is a pivot to come daily downtrend. But to each of their own. But even then, it's been 4 months since we confirmed a daily downtrend. And before that, the 2-day guide, I continue to talk about this forever because this 2-day guide is incredibly perfectly support, bounce, 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 bounce. And now if that this triple bottom breaks, confirming a daily downtrend, we are going to be testing that 2-day EMA 12 again. Apple, so that'll be my guide. So Apple is the strongest. If that breaks down, then QQQ is going to pull back. And QQQ is going to drag SPY down as well if QQQ actually pulls back. And so we got to be a little bit cautious of all these charts potentially forming daily downtrends, as well as these Google, which is the one that's definitely forming a daily downtrend. You can see right here like how big this drop is. 5% bounce drop, 6%, and we bounce only close to not even 0.382 yet. So this is a daily bear flag. So big enough drop. Now the bears are looking for that lower high. So if we do break this, then it's a daily downtrend confirmed. This is the weakest of the weakest chart of the big techs, and you can see how shallow that bounces. You know how I've been talking about in all my videos, where the size of the move is going to determine the next move, the most probable scenario of the next move, obviously. So, and we also was consolidating. So along this chop zone, finally broke out, lagged bull follow through, came back into it. So that's a red flag, huge red flag for me. And this could potentially break next week. Amazon. If you look at this chart, Amazon did bounce a little bit stronger than Google, and chart does look a little bit better. But still, this big move. Now, this 2 upper wicks, potentially we can scout that daily downtrend as well. So that's what we'll be looking at. Amazon as well. Same thing for Microsoft. See how these charts are starting to coincide. So these 3 are the weakest. Microsoft as well bounced. We have from that upper wick. So this is going to set the higher low here compared to this high. Like we did measuring. See, this is a big enough drop now for us to scout those moves. And give me a second here. 18. So yep. And we did break the 12 EMA as well for Microsoft, which was holding. And we back tested it. Remember I talked about where we want to see Apple back tested? We back tested it, broke above it, closed below it now. So that's potential break here. So we'll see if Monday or Tuesday we do break these prior pivot loads for all these big tech stocks to confirm that daily downtrend right there. And we'll see if that happens or not. That's all I got, you guys, for all the big tech stocks. And you can see VIX is where all-time lows. We are lower than when we were at all-time highs in the market here. This was where the all-time high was in the market. And this fear volatility index, we're at all-time lows. So be cautious. This could potentially bounce and the market would drop because it's the inverse of the market. All right. Have a great rest of you guys' weekend, and feel free to subscribe if you guys made it this far if you guys learned anything. And as well as likes, shares, and comments are always appreciated. And thanks for being here. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for the daily market updates. I'll be doing a SPY QQQ as well as some of the big tech stocks briefly over tomorrow. And I'll update you guys on the rate hike as well and everything next week and CPI. So have a great rest of you guys' weekend, and see you guys tomorrow.